Hey squad, Sykes here, and welcome back to another Halo Infinite news video here on Installation X. In this video, we're going to be breaking down and analysing everything that 343 have shown us in the Halo Infinite campaign overview video that they have just released on the Halo and Xbox YouTube channel. The video is about 6.5 minutes long, and it gives us our real first deep dive look at the campaign since last year. So in this video, I've decided that I'm going to go through and break down everything that I've managed to spot out in the campaign trailer itself, go through a couple of things, give you my thoughts and opinions, and yeah, just generally have a look at what we've got to go through. If you enjoy what you see, then please make sure you leave a like, head over to Installation X and subscribe, and hit that bell for notifications for more Halo Infinite uploads. So first things first, my initial thoughts are, what a difference a year makes. Like, this campaign trailer is absolutely blown me away in terms of the scope and scale of what they're aiming for with Halo Infinite. It's been absolutely breathtaking to go through this this trailer, really, and kind of get really excited for a lot of great things. You know, the game was on a real good wave of momentum since the tech previews and the flights with Arena 4v4 Slayer and with Big Team Battle, but now we've got the opportunity to look at the campaign. So, starting off the video itself, we get to see a look at Cortana. Now, interestingly, Cortana is pink here. Now, I don't know if that's a reference back to what she looked like in the OG Halo Combat Evolved, because she was pinky purple back then, and then she kind of transitioned into blue as the series went on. So there's another shot later on in the trailer. I'm not sure if this is just a callback or whether this is actually Cortana or what we're going to see the current Cortana as. So the whole trailer kind of hints at the fact that things have changed. Cortana's kind of missing a little bit, and the whole point of this campaign is to try and figure out essentially what's happened to her, and basically what's happened to the ring. We get to see another look at the opening cutscene, which we've seen, I think it was 2 years ago now, actually. We got to see the pilot being the pilot, because we love him. We get to see the Banished having destroyed Zeta Halo. And then we kind of jump straight in to the opening cutscene, or some of the opening cutscenes. Now, what is really interesting is that Chief has his grapple shot like on him right at the start of the trailer. Like, you can see it kind of floating, extended while he's floating around in space, and then when you run it back to the actual bit where he's now in the Pelican and the pilot's trying to revive him, you can see it very prominently now. So it suggests that we might actually get the grapple shot like from the get-go in Halo Infinite, which would be really neat, because the grapple shot's such a cool piece of equipment. If anyone's tried it out in the flights, it's been absolutely fantastic. Then when we kind of go into this like aerial shot, it gives us, hopefully, a sense of a lot of different mixes of environments. So one of the things I was a little bit worried about was that we're going to get this Pacific Northwest biome that 343 have talked about quite a lot over and over again. But it looks like we're going to get Banished structures, Forerunner structures. We're going to get some desolate battlefields. It looks absolutely fantastic. I'm going to pause the video around about here. The Banished interior looks so cool. Like, with this red aesthetic, it looks much more gritty, grungy. It still has that Forerunner effect, because it's obviously Forerunner structures potentially. But yeah, I really kind of like the way that they're going with this Banished aesthetic, just mixing it up completely to anything that we've seen before with the Covenant. The campaign itself looks ridiculously open and expansive, and it looks like it's going to be very much here's the scenario, go and figure out what you want to do and how you want to approach it. There's lots of vehicle gameplay going on, which makes me feel all warm and fuzzy inside, because I really like the idea of being able to access the vehicles whenever I really want. And then what was really interesting is when they talk about the first thing that he has to do, or Chief has to do, is retrieve the weapon. So the weapon is essentially what we thought the weapon was a Cortana clone. Now, the more dialogue you hear from the weapon, it appears that actually it's a bit more deeper than that, in that there's a completely different personality characteristic going on here with this version of Cortana, the weapon version, compared to the Cortana we had before. And I think Jen Taylor has done an absolute great job of diversifying her voice to allow us to believe that this is yes, it looks like Cortana and it sounds like Cortana, but this is a different AI with a different mind, different personality, and I'm really intrigued to see how that plays out, because the weapon's quite witty and quite dry in her humour. I always felt Cortana was a bit more endearing and a bit more to the point sometimes, whereas this weapon seems a bit more kind of fun going. So I'm really interested to see where they go with the AI, and hopefully it will be a cool new addition to the story, really, because it's going to feel familiar having the weapon alongside us whilst we're figuring out where's Cortana and what's she done. But also I'm intrigued to see eventually where the dynamic's going to go when hopefully the two meet, which is really cool. So we also get to see this, again, the cutscene that we saw a while ago. And this is the shot that I was talking about with Cortana. So this Cortana right now, in the way that she looks like the Halo 5 Cortana, right? That's the Halo 5 Cortana model right there. But she's got her more classic colouring from CE. Now, again, this is kind of screwing with me a little bit, and other people may have a different opinion, but I'm thinking that actually, because they are going to a much more OG version of Halo in terms of the aesthetic, in terms of the feel of the game, maybe they are reverting Cortana back to her pinky purple colour palette from the first game to kind of make it feel even more grounded of where they were, well, where they've been thinking about making the comparisons between combat involved. Or this could just be like a flashback sequence. But for some reason, I don't really feel like it is. I don't know if the structure in the hologram is anything from a previous game. Someone might be able to tell me if it is or not. It reminded me of the satellite from the satellite station from Halo 2. But I remembered, I think that was an Arbiter mission, so Cortana wouldn't have really had much to do with that. So I could be wrong. I'm not quite sure. But again, Cortana, if this is what we're going to see of Cortana in this game, it's looking absolutely fantastic. And we know that the weapon was charged to lock down Cortana, whatever that means. So that's kind of going to be a big plot point moving forwards. And then what we get to see is we get to see what looks like to be a vehicle ordnance drop. So we're going to see a little bit further forward that there are going to be various outposts scattered throughout the Zeta Halo, throughout the map. And if you capture those outposts, or those forward operating bases, I think they're technically called in the game, from the Banished, you'll then be able to use those forward operating bases to call in vehicle, potentially even weapon ordnance. And it looks like that's the pilot's role in the campaign, is he's going to be the guy scavenging stuff and maybe dropping it in for you to use, which is awesome. I think that's fantastic. The idea of we can really utilise the vehicles in this game to get around the map is awesome. It's really, really, really good. So I'm very much looking forward to that. I didn't actually get to try the Wasp in the flight, so I'm looking forward to getting into a Wasp again. I really like the Wasp from Halo 5. It's one of the good things about the game. Yeah, the vehicle combat just looks so good. And then this, I'm just going to pause this here. Like, this is a cool little scene, because this is kind of setting up what the forward operating bases are going to be, and the idea that you can really just drop in and change up how you play these forward operating bases. So this, obviously, this version is Chiefs dropping in from the air. You can approach it from afar, maybe with a sniper rifle. You can probably just go in all guns blazing with a Warthog or a tank if you've got one. Like, it seems like we are going to have settings that are going to be there, but we, as the player, get the choice of how we approach them, which just sounds awesome. I can't wait. Oh, sniper jackals. Ugh. We get to see another look at this cutscene we saw a while ago. And then, so this is Escharum, so I want to just pause it here. Escherum's looking a bit more beefy and a bit more scary to where he was in the trailer from last year. I liked the speech that Escharum made at the end of the trailer last year. The problem is it came off a little bit cartoony because of how he looked. But he's looking much more menacing here. And if anyone doesn't know yet, Escharum is essentially Atriox's right-hand man. He is basically the second in command of the Banished. Like, Atriox is the leader of the Banished, and he is the big bad, and he will eventually become the big bad of Halo Infinite as we roll through the years and we get more story content as we go through the game's lifespan. But Escherum's a serious guy, and he's someone not to be messed with, and he's going to be a serious threat throughout the game. And it's nice to see him pop up like this again, which is cool. It's just a nice reminder that there are several things going on here, but he is going to pose a big threat. And I just love how they've made the brutes really kind of fearsome again. Like, I felt like they got shafted in Halo Reach, and now they're back to their like brutal best. And they have hair, which we'll get to in a minute. We'll get a better look at that. Something I actually missed during my first run through of this trailer is that right in the background in this clip, you can see a hologram of what a lot of people, including myself, having seen it properly now, believe is actually Atriox. So it looks like we may get Atriox himself appearing in some form in this initial campaign, which is brilliant because I believe that Atriox is being set up as the big bad, as I said previously, for the entirety of Halo Infinite going forward, but I'm not sure whether he was going to be in this initial campaign. But you can distinctly see that it is Atriox's armor in that hologram. It's not Escharum. It's definitely looking like it's Atriox, which is ridiculously exciting because he was awesome in so many ways in Halo Wars 2. And if you are a genuine Halo fan and you want to know more about Atriox and you haven't played Halo Wars 2, I highly recommend you go and play the game, or at least go and watch the kind of chopped up blur cutscenes online, because he is such an awesome, impactful bad guy. So I'm very, very much looking forward to hopefully seeing him in some form in the campaign, which would be amazing. We've got the Hunters again, which is awesome. Sniper Rifle. Hopefully they'll balance that out a bit. More hair on the brutes. Again, this is how you can approach things from different angles again. It's just really neat. Played the Warthog in the flight preview. It checks out really well. I really like it. It appears there's going to be lots of Marines around for you to help save and support, which is really neat. Just jumping off the side of a cliff on a Warthog, why not? And this scene's really interesting. I'm going to pause it in just a second. I'm going to pause it here. So you can see the name tag above this brute is Tremonius. So basically, they're very much in keeping with the kind of Imperial Roman naming that they had in Halo Wars 2, which is really, really neat. Interestingly is that you can see this is clearly a boss, or at least a mini-boss, and we're going to kind of have that returning kind of PvE Warzone Halo 5 boss style, like extra shields, health, that kind of thing that we had going on in Warzone coming back, which I'm absolutely fine with. I actually enjoyed that part of Warzone. I didn't mind Warzone as a mode, it just got a bit stale. So the idea that they're bringing some of the best bits from that, the PvE parts, is really neat. And I guess this will have something to do with taking out a banished outpost or a banished fortress, that we could expect these, you know, smaller, medium, harder bosses to be around, which is really cool. You get to see I think it's the Mangler. I didn't get to play with that in the preview, so I'm hoping to get hold of that. Love the fusion coil toss. Now this bit is super interesting, so I'm going to pause this at relevant points because I find the map super interesting. So one of the things that you can see here is when they go over to the FOB Golf part is you can see in the detail where it says, when controlled forward operating bases reveal banished and UNSC activity in the surrounding region, areas of fast travel hubs and rally points for UNSC Marine fire support, and provide access to vehicle drops, weapons, and weapon variants. Gaining Valor unlocks available resources at all captured FOBs, defeat the banished, and access the control terminal to claim this FOB. This is something that's a kind of new take on, I guess, the kind of go to the outpost, clear the outpost, unlock areas of the map. Like, at least there's going to give you a strategic advantage of going after these FOBs. And I guess one of the things maybe you could do is you could probably streamline the whole thing and just play through the main story missions. But having this optional stuff here, whether it's something you have to actively work towards or whether it's just there, I'm so excited for. Like, I guess if this was a normal game, I'd be like, oh yeah, no, they're doing that. But because it's a Halo game, and we've never seen this in a Halo game before, I'm just super, super excited to get my hands on it and see how it's going to work. There's so many new things here, but again, I don't feel like they're moving away from Halo, because having already played the game, the gunplay, the sandbox, everything feels grounded and feels like Halo, and because they've got that right, in my opinion, they're able to move forward with things like this. The other thing we get to see is the ransom keep part. This seems more optional, maybe, but it says primarily operated by banished loyal Sangheili warriors. This outpost primary function seems to be related to the appropriation of UNSC material. So again, that's probably an area that you can go and take out, and you can then find power weapons or equipment, or you can gain some collectibles, because we can see here within the area collectibles section, there's a lot of things to find, and we can see here with this little triangular like upside down V icon, that's Spartan cores, which we're going to see in a second, and they are what you use to upgrade your equipment or chief's equipment. So there is going to be, because you can see the upgrades tab, we're going to get to that in just a second, but so it's going to be beneficial for you to actually go and explore these areas, because you're going to get some gains from it, which is really neat. I love the look of the BR. The BR in this game is just perfect. It's my favourite gun. They've just absolutely nailed it. And again, having variety, like we're going in a chopper this time. Some interactive areas of the outposts is awesome. Like, we love to see it. That fusion coil toss is so satisfying. Now this sequence is really interesting to me. So we use the drop wall, and then we go straight into the menu, and then you can see here that I'm gonna stop at various points. This initial point here, we've got grapple shot, shield core, threat sensor, drop wall, and thruster. So I'm assuming that the shield core is going to have something to do with Chief's actual shield, so your shield ability. We've then got the thruster, which they're going to upgrade in this sequence. But having the drop wall upgrades, reduced cooldown, timers, grapple shot, maybe increased area, potentially. But the thruster upgrades itself, they're going to whiz through them. But essentially, they were add a second charge, reduce cooldown, or add a personal cloak for 4 seconds. Now, what is really interesting is they're going to upgrade the thruster, and then the sequence will continue, and then you're immediately back in the fight, and you can see the upgrade already. So it means that you're going to be able to upgrade, looks like you're going to be able to upgrade your equipment mid-fight, which is really cool. Not kind of this, you're in an area of combat, you must leave before you can do anything, because I always used to hate that kind of stuff. We get to see the Scorpion. Scorpions are cool, they're awesome. I didn't get a chance to play the Scorpion in the tech preview, so I can't really say much about it, but it looks awesome, it's going to play well. Taking out Phantoms again, awesome. Yeah, I didn't get a chance to play with Banshee either, but this play is ridiculous. Like, if this is kind of the stuff we could pull off, we've got to watch that again. We've got to watch that again. That play was, you're in a Banshee, which is fast approaching its death. You jump out, skewer the Banshee below you, and then grapple shot and grapple jack the third Banshee. That's just insane. And that's all possible because of the sandbox. So I'm hoping we get to use some absolute mad plays. So I'm going to pause this one here. So these are called the Skimmer. So what I find interesting about these is there's two things here that I'm interested with. One, it looks like these guys are kind of the reincarnation of drones, which were definitely in Halo 3. I can't remember off the top of my head if they were in Halo 2 or not. But drones were kind of the aerial threat of the Covenant. They weren't super powerful, but they would swarm you. So if you got stuck with a load of drones at one time, you could get overwhelmed quite quickly, especially on high difficulties. So it looks like they're coming back, which is neat. So we're going to have some kind of aerial presence, which diversifies the enemy types again. So I'm up for that. What I also find really interesting is this kind of orb in the middle. Now, it doesn't necessarily, I don't think it is this, but it could be this. This could be a Forerunner monitor for maybe Zeta Halo, the installation itself, which, again, would be really interesting. It's a common thing that there are always monitors on any Forerunner installation, and I guess with it, Zeta Halo being a very specific Halo ring in the timeline of the Halo saga, especially the Forerunner era, it would be really neat to get involved with a monitor on this installation, which would be really, really cool. I'm not sure, though, because it doesn't quite look like one, unless they've had a redesign, so I can't be certain, but that was my initial thought when I saw it. Now, this is... I'm going to pause this here. This shot is insanely cool. So this is Jger Redomnate. Now, they announced him a while back. I did a video on Jger when they announced him on an Inside Infinite blog. Basically, he is looks like he's going to be a Sangheili assassin. Now, if anyone knows anything about Halo lore, and I'm not by any means an expert, I've got dribs and drabs, but nothing solid like some other Halo content creators have. There is a Sangheili like elite squad called the Silent Shadow, and if memory serves me right, I think I'm right. They now work for Atriox, or they are involved with Atriox and somehow, and they're involved with the Banished. And the reason why I say that is because his energy sword is red, and that was kind of a staple of the Silent Shadow. Like their energy swords were red, so I don't think it's just a Banished thing. But this guy looks badass, man. He looks so good, and I'm intrigued to see whether he's just going to be like a one-off threat, or whether he's going to be like a recurring character who's like, as whilst you're trying to figure out what's going on the ring and what's happened and where Cortana is and this and that, he's then hunting you. That would be so cool. But he is the coolest looking elite, like minus Arbiter's OG armor, because that is pretty special. He is the baddest looking elite that I've seen for quite a long time. I'm really looking forward to that. And then we get to kind of the weirdest part of this trailer, and that's not a negative, is the Harbinger. So this is clearly going to be the next big extraterrestrial forerunner threat. And I'm going to roll it on in a second, and the Harbinger, who's got sounding like a female voice, again, not confirmed, but I'm going to assume she is going to say something that I find really, really interesting.
More threatening.
The Forerunner's lies are at an end. I am the harbinger of the truth. You are not the future.
So I find that really, really interesting. I'm just going to pause it here, because the quote was, "The Forerunner lies are at an end. I am the harbinger of the truth. You are not the future." So that implies several things, if you're clued up with Halo. Is one, this suggests that the Harbinger might not actually be Forerunner, which is very curious, because if they're not Forerunner, then what on earth might they be? Who knows? The Harbinger of the Truth implies that they know, or she knows, something that we as the players do not know at this moment in time, which is interesting. And it may have a link to Cortana, it may have a link to something else greater in the bigger picture. And you are not the future. I'm reading this as that she's specifically referring to the mantle of responsibility. So for those people who may or may not know, the mantle of responsibility was this philosophy of the Forerunners that as the superior race, they are the guardians of all of the galaxy. And it was believed that by certain Forerunners that eventually the Forerunners would fail and the mantle of responsibility for the guardianship of the entire galaxy would fall to humanity. Fast forward several 100,000 years, it's then became apparent that with Cortana's revolution and revolt, that she believes that it's actually the created, so her AI companions and warriors and huge, enormous army across the galaxy, they're the owners of the mantle of responsibility, which is why she was then starting to police the galaxy and bring kind of authoritarian peace to the entire galaxy with the Guardians. So the idea that you are not the future, I think that is specifically referring to humanity and their role within the galaxy again, but we don't really know. This is just speculation. But seeing as much as we have of her or them so far, I'm super baffled by them. So again, so already we've got the Harbinger, we've got Cortana, we've got Escharum, and we will eventually, no doubt in my mind, have Atriox. So there's a lot that could potentially happen in this game, and hopefully they're going to give it the time to breathe and flesh these things out, which is what they didn't do in Halo 4 and Halo 5. So fingers crossed. And then this scene is just nuts. Like, Chief is looking the best he has ever looked in the series, period. Like, his armor, his whole look is just so on point. And then Jen Taylor was talking about welcome to the new era of Halo, so this is obviously going to be, it's further implying the long-lasting effects of this game. I love that quote. Like, I love that quote so much. And then the last part we're going to see is this, which I'm going to hopefully pause at just exactly the right moment. That's more like it. This guy looks a real menacing threat now. Now, I know this is a CGI cutscene, it's probably not running in game, but it's not the point. This is what we needed to see. We needed to see this guy be ruthless. And this is what it looks like it's going to be. So, that's it for the whole trailer. I've kind of expanded that out a fair bit, but there are so many things that I'm excited for, guys, with this campaign. Like, there's a couple of things that I'm a little bit curious about around how they juggle. You know, is it going to become too expansive that there's not going to be... They've often talked about a golden path through the game, 343, which is referring to the story and the narrative. So I'm intrigued to see how much the extra content will affect or be added to that golden path. It looks like the campaign's going to run longer in timescale, which I think is a good thing. Not every campaign needs to be super long, but I felt that Halo 4 and Halo 5 were far too short. Especially Halo 5, because there were so many characters in Halo 5 and they didn't give it enough time to flesh these characters out, so it came off poorly, as well as the writing was shocking. But anyway, I've said enough about Halo 5's campaign before. I want to see potentially a mix-up to maybe the environments that we're going to be playing in. There's obviously lots of variety in terms of the artificial structures, with the Forerunner structures and the Banished structures and the UNSC wreckages and all that kind of stuff. But I'm hoping we get more than just grass and fern trees. Like, I know that's the aesthetic they're going for, and I know that's going to be the main biome of the game, but with seeing Behemoth in the recent tech preview, I'm hoping that we're going to get some kind of deserty area as well that we can hopefully explore. I'm hoping that we are going to get some kind of tying the loose ends from Halo 5, because what I found really interesting about this was that the only character from Halo 5 that they have mentioned so far at any point throughout the entire marketing of Halo Infinite is Cortana. They've not mentioned Blue Team, they've not mentioned Osiris, they've not mentioned anyone on the Infinity, they've not mentioned Halsey, they've not mentioned the Arbiter. These are all characters that were clearly defined in Halo 5 as well, and we haven't heard a smidge about any of them. Now, granted, that's not necessarily a bad thing, because we want things to be kept... We want some cards to be kept close to the chest so we don't know everything. But equally, I'm hoping that those characters do get referenced to, and we do get some kind of resolution to what the hell happened to them and what's going on. So yeah, again, guys, super excited for Halo Infinite. I'm absolutely buzzing for the game. I'm hoping to keep the videos rolling out as much as I can over the next couple of months with relation to Halo Infinite, leading up to the launch. So yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, then please make sure you leave a like, head over to Installation X and subscribe, and hit that bell for notifications for more Halo Infinite uploads. Let me know your thoughts on the campaign trailer and anything that you may have spotted that I may have missed in the comments section. Follow myself and the channel on social media with links in the description. And as always, I'm Sykes, and for more on Halo Infinite and all things Xbox, stay tuned to Installation X. Bye, guys.